We got to get a guy in here who's seen a lot of football over his career to make sense of it. We've got longtime NFL veteran Logan Ryan joining the program. Logan, I mean, realistically, are the Chiefs here at 11-1 heading into Week 14? Are they impressive in your opinion, or are they just lucky?
Look, as a former player, I can't say 11 wins is all luck. It's impressive just to find a way to pull out all those games to be that close in the end, have the ball fall in your favor. You have to do some things right. That's not luck. However, I'm not a believer in the Chiefs this year. I don't believe in the three-peat. I believe games like the Panthers and the Raiders, like we saw, those are games, if you are a championship Super Bowl team, that you got to pull away from those teams that have no business sniffing the playoffs this year. So I know last year they went on a run late and they found a way to win all those games on the road to win another Super Bowl. But I just don't see it this season because they haven't found that offense yet. And I know they say it's coming. Mahomes says every week they're working on it. But eventually I've been in those locker rooms. You got to get it together, especially by this time of the year. And those teams like the Panthers and the Raiders, you got to be beating those teams by 1, 2, 3 touchdowns, similar to how we see Detroit handle their business. I would love to see the Chiefs do that. I haven't seen that yet. So therefore, I think it's impressive so far, but I think it's going to come to an end soon.
It kind of feels like that Judge Judy meme where she's like sitting at her desk and she's going like this because we're waiting for the Chiefs to look like the Chiefs. Either way, odds makers are buying into it at this point too. They're the first team to clinch a playoff spot. Their odds have actually shortened as well from -210 to -135 in terms of securing the #1 seed in the AFC. However, Logan, we know that the Bills are close behind. They hold that head-to-head as well. They handed the Kansas City Chiefs their only loss this season. How are you feeling about the Chiefs' chances to be that #1 seed, or do you think the Bills or even the Steelers we see on the screen could sneak in and take that top spot?
I'm feeling like the Bills. I truly am, but I am predicting the Bills to get upset this week. But I think the Chiefs are going to struggle against their division down the road here. I could see them dropping a game or two toward the end of the season here, finishing with 13, 14 wins, which is still a great regular season. They'll take that. However, the fact that the Bills beat them head-to-head, if they finish with the same record, the Bills will have a tiebreaker. And if they meet in the playoffs, that game will be in Buffalo. And it may be snowing, and the fans will be breaking tables. So the fact that the Bills have that tiebreaker and they won the head-to-head is major. But those are those Chiefs games where we saw where it comes down to the wire. But the Bills have a player in Josh Allen, MVP candidate, that closed the game for Buffalo.
I know you predicted Buffalo to get upset. You also, I think, predicted the Chiefs to get upset this weekend, too. So just kind of going into your point there of them maybe just not looking as good as they have this season.
I did predict that last night was going to be one of the best Thursday night football games as well. So I had 3 bold predictions this week. Last night was going to be a thriller. That's #1. It was a thriller. That was a great game. Obviously, I have the Bills getting upset by the Rams this week and the Chargers beating the Chiefs. So I'm 1 for 3 so far on my bold predictions.
I did think about you during that game because you did tell me yesterday that it was going to be the best game, and it was. It was fantastic. We're going to talk about it in just a few minutes. Actually, we're going to talk about it right now because that's where we're at in the rundown here. In terms of the Lions, they're having their best season in franchise history. And it's interesting, Logan, because it's just been all fun, all smiles. You're going for it on 4th and 1 with a tie game late, and the Lions convert. And that's kind of what we've seen from Dan Campbell, you know, as he's taken over this program. I'm just wondering, though, Logan, from your perspective, do you think it could get him into trouble, especially as you start getting into the postseason when things are just going to be a little bit closer and you have to make those decisions? Are you nervous about how Dan Campbell sort of approaches that aggressive behavior on 4th down?
Absolutely. Listen, the Lions are not the Lions without Dan Campbell. All credit to Dan Campbell, Coach of the Year candidate, what he's done with Detroit and what they're able to do. Great coach all over the staff, but he has brought an identity and a toughness to them, and they are dominating teams, looking like the best team in the NFL, no doubt. I was also on the field last year for the Lions-Niners game, the NFC Championship game, the largest comeback of all time in an NFC Championship game. And we, the 49ers, would not have won that game if Dan Campbell was not going for it at so much in 4th down and getting stopped. He helped us, you know, with those opportunities, because if it doesn't go your way, then you put your team in a bad situation if you don't take those points. So obviously at times it worked out like it did. I think it's super aggressive, which is his nature, borderline reckless, and I think Dan Campbell's a heck of a coach. But we've seen coaches struggle in end game situations, what to do with timeouts, what to do on 4th down. and we know he's aggressive by nature, but it definitely aided in the Niners winning the NFC Championship last year with those choices to do that, gave them more opportunities to come back. And I don't know. I don't want to take Dan Campbell as my coach the last 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. I'll take him for the rest of it.
Okay.
For those last 2 minutes, there's other head coaches I'll probably take. I think that's the one flaw with the Lions could be Dan Campbell's aggressiveness.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you would like to have a coach that's aggressive that way. But I think that's fair. You know, you like to have it so he can keep you in games. But at some point, as you mentioned, it kind of catches up to you. All right, Logan, before we let you go, you know I got to ask you about Bill Belichick. The rumors, the reports, if you will, of him interviewing to take over that UNC job. Kind of an interesting one here. There's a lot of whys going around, like why college? Why not the NFL? What did you think when you heard about your former head coach potentially as a college coach?
Look, I was at my kid's soccer practice last night, and my phone started blowing up about this. Like I had a big inside scoop, like I saw this one coming. And my answer is I don't know. I don't know why he would interview for a college job. I don't think there's interest there. Now, I don't know, Bill's interest has changed. I think he's built to coach football at the highest level. I think he wants to coach football at the highest level. I think a lot of great coaches, and Bill is the greatest that I've played for, arguably the greatest of all time, don't want to deal with college now because of the NIL and the recruiting element and dealing with 17-year-old kids and paying them $1 million before they ever played a snap. So I don't think he wants to be in that business. I don't know if it was to do a favor to North Carolina's AD. I don't know if it's to get his son in there, Steve, who I played with. He was coaching at University of Washington now. I don't know the real reason, but I cannot see, I think, a 1% chance that Bill Belichick goes and coaches college. When you're the 3-time NFL Coach of the Year, probably could have been 13-time NFL Coach of the Year, honestly. I don't think you entertain the UNC job. So I really don't know. This one had fooled me.
We were talking about it kind of upstairs in the newsroom because we were all stumped too for all the reasons you just laid out. And one of the conversations that I had that kind of resonated with me was, is this maybe Belichick's way of trying to show the NFL that there's still interest for him? Because, we've seen reports of him being linked to the Cowboys. He went and interviewed with the Falcons and almost had that job too. Do you think there's a sense of that he's trying to maybe prove that he can still be a caliber coach, that he's still in demand?
He just got to pull out that resume. He don't got to prove. The North Carolina, job interview is not going to convince any NFL team anything. The proof is in the pudding. What he can do, what he knows how to do defensively, the discipline, how his teams play for him, for the most part. So I think it's already done. I think there's teams that already want him or are going to interview him NFL-wise. I don't think this moves the needle. I think there's going to be some extra jobs out there this year that we don't see just yet. I think there might be some other job openings there. And I think Bill Belichick, people felt like he might have aged out or fell out of favor last year. But I think some of these teams are realizing, hey, man, we need to bring a coach that can run the ship, get him some good coordinators. We need to get a coach that knows what he's doing at the end of games that can help us close these games out. Because we see so many games won and lost on the last play of the game because of poor coaching or poor clock management. So I think Belichick has definitely, the tides have came back in his favor. I think he's definitely going to be an NFL head coach next season.
You already gave us 3 bold predictions. There's number 4 from our Logan Ryan. We'll see if it comes true. Logan, thanks so much for hopping on HQ with us. We know, by the way, that Belichick is, of course, chasing Don Shula for the most wins in the NFL. He's 14 wins away from tying that record. To Logan's point, we'll have to see how it works out. Here's what you can see this weekend, though. A jam-packed slate of action at 1 o'clock on CBS. A lot of great games in there as the season comes down to the wire here. But pay attention to that 4:05 window. The wild NFC West has been quite fun, and that game should be a good one between the Seahawks and the Cardinals.